What's up, guys? You're watching the Deeper Podcast.
What is up, everybody?
It is me and Bryce this morning.
We are here. You can turn it off.
We fired Rusty.
For those who stay, we love you.
Hey, this was like the biggest weekend in Buna.
It is the biggest weekend.
Every year it happens.
Yep.
It's the Red Bud.
Good. You're such a ding dong.
Hey,
I mean, it's
Can
on
you
our
even
it's
say
on our sign before you get into town. I mean, that's what we're known for. You know, some people think we're known for football and stuff, which we're not.
no, it was a great weekend.
We are known for Red Bud.
Honestly, I told this to somebody else. A small town putting on such a big festival is starting to die, I think. Like the idea of that. And so to see Buna doing that, I think it's pretty awesome.
And it was pretty good.
Hold true to those traditions and stuff. But
Got some good food.
Yeah.
Got some.
I am mad. I don't know if this makes it to anybody important, but
Probably not.
there was no bloomin' onions, and I was devastated.
So was my wife. My wife was upset. That's why we went to go get food.
Yeah.
So she was not happy either. I got some kebabs. We got some boudin balls. We got some chocolate chip cookies. I got a red velvet cheesecake cookie.
You showed me that.
And then the most important thing that I got was the greatest cookies ever invented, which are the peanut butter sandwich Girl Scout cookies. And some would say that they're not good. I would say to that, you need Jesus, because they're the greatest cookies of all time.
I thought you were about to talk about cracklins.
Well, that's like upper echelon.
Okay.
That's like in a different realm.
Okay.
Yeah. The Ford's everything. Yeah. We're not going to talk about that. Everybody knows how good those are. But the peanut butter sandwich cookies from Girl Scouts are the greatest cookies ever created. Now, here's the only complaint. Opened the first pack yesterday. Usually I eat like one sleeve at a time. Don't judge me on that. But opened up the first sleeve. First 3 crackers were 0 flavor stale. I was very upset.
Girl Scouts need to step up your
I was
game.
very upset. So if any of the Girl Scout people that were at the booth are watching this, I need a free at least one sleeve.
Oh, wow.
I got a bad. How are you gonna? Like, I made sure I went out of my way to tell them who were working the booth that these are the greatest cookies ever. I buy these every year. Thank you for having these for me. And then I open it up and it's just stale.
Yeah,
Girl
Scouts gotta
And it's like the Girl Scout people who made those cookies didn't provide the cookies that I needed.
Yeah.
Do you like that?
Yeah. I mean, speaking of providing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's what we talked about yesterday.
Yeah. Yesterday's message, Rusty did a great job of taking us through Genesis 22, kind of starting off a series that's going to lead us to the cross, right? From Genesis to through the Bible. And I'm excited. I don't know about you. Yesterday's message was great, talking overall about God's provision. But yeah.
Yeah, story of Isaac and Abraham, the famous story of Abraham being so faithful, so good, so awesome that he was willing to kill his own kid.
Yeah, which
for the Lord.
Rusty reminded us how crazy it actually is.
Yeah,
Because a lot of us that grew up hearing that story, it's like, well, yeah, I've heard that before.
Yeah.
You know? But to hear some of the context he gave and to kind of dive into it deeper was pretty awesome. So
Yeah, I didn't grow up, in church and stuff, so I didn't know anything about the story until I was a little older. When first hearing it, I was like, man, what in the world? Why would a God do that? And first time I heard it, I wasn't saved, so I didn't really understand I didn't understand the picture or the importance of it. And so, yeah, it was a great reminder yesterday of kind of just this, basically just reading the whole entire story and just kind of breaking it down and seeing how it relates to us. And the $1 million question that Rusty asked at the beginning of the message yesterday was, does God test believers? Does God test those who believe in him? And if you say no, then I would be willing to bet that you've never read the Bible.
Yeah.
Because, almost everywhere you read, it's God testing those who believe in him. And here, this entire story is a test of testing the faith of Abraham and seeing what he was going to do. And I like how Rusty kind of allowed us to understand that test is kind of a proven ground. It's where you are proving something when you're taking a test. You're proving that you've studied. You're proving that you know what the answers are. You're proving that you are on the right track, right? And when God tests us, he's proving our faith to him, which
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. I haven't heard it in the way of that proving language. And I thought that was really good. I personally needed that, man, there's been some things recently where God has been testing me for sure. And I'm aware of it and I know it, but I haven't thought of it as the fact of, no, he's doing this so that I can prove my faith to him, that I can prove that faith is real, that I claim, and so I thought that was really awesome.
Yeah.
And then he kind of capstoned it with everything that we do here and all the trials and testing that God puts us through, like putting Abraham in this situation with his son is just preparing all of us for eternity.
Yes.
And I thought that was really awesome.
Yeah, definitely interesting. And
Yeah.
Like you said, like there's proof in the Bible. It literally says in the beginning that God tested him, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I thought that was, like you clearly have never read the book of Job.
Yeah.
It's like the entire book is God testing Job and testing his faith. And man, last year we went through, about a year and a half ago, we went through the book of Jonah, the few chapters that are in that book, and by far the weirdest book in all of Scripture. But the whole book is God testing Jonah and seeing what Jonah's going to do. And you kind of just like, talking to him and all these crazy stories and Sunday school lessons that we all know. And the whole time, Jonah is either falling away from his, and going back and then falling away. And then the book ends with, boom, there,
it
it's
never
like
really ends well.
Zero ending, like terrible plot, all of that. But no, all throughout Scripture, it's the Lord testing his believers and trying to see, man, is this faith real or not? Obviously, the greatest instance of this is Jesus being tempted in the wilderness. Yes, Abraham in his own son, but this is God allowing his own son to have the opportunity to fall.
Yeah.
And in that moment, the Lord knew that this was the plan. Because his son endured, his son won, and then won again, and so just over and over, I was thinking yesterday of all the instances that I know in Scripture of God testing his believers. And if you don't think that that's how God works, like in your life, you're probably following a different God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for me personally, there's probably more times that I'm aware of God testing me than God blessing me.
Okay.
Not saying that he doesn't bless me.
Right.
But I tend to focus more on the negative.
Sure.
That's just my personality. I wish I was not so pessimistic. I wish I had the personality of like flowers and rainbows. I wish I had that. I don't have that, unfortunately. Yeah. And so I'm more aware of the testing most of the time, which is funny because still 99% of the time I fail. I fail the test, but I'm aware of the testing a lot. But I've talked to many people who it's hard for them to see that, and I can understand that. Like it's hard for them to see that God would do this. It's hard for them to wrap their minds around, why in the world would I follow a God who tells Abraham to bind up his son, bring him up on the mountain, take the knife out, and go to town?
Right.
It's like, why would you follow a God like that? It doesn't, on paper, none of this makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'll tell you one thing I'm thankful for in my life when I failed the test, that there was another test.
Like, 100%. That's
that
a good
test,
point. Yeah.
That test, I realized I failed.
Yeah.
And it strengthened me to then go to the next test in life. And I think we see this in the story.
That's
it's
good.
like Abraham failed the test of waiting for a child.
Crazy story.
Yeah, failed that test. And the Lord didn't give up on him then, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And even through the trials and the test, again, he provided.
Yep.
Right? He provided another test.
Yep.
Or, and he keeps doing that. And it kind of leads us to our first point is that trust in God's provision leads to radical obedience.
Yeah.
Right? Through Abraham failing that first test, he saw that God provided.
Yeah.
Even still.
100%.
And so what did that lead to? Radical obedience. Yeah.
And we were, and Rusty reminded us that for us in our life, we probably are never going to have that obedience that Abraham had.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just realistically, like, because we're not Abraham.
Right.
We're not. We're not 140 years old who has a 40-year-old son and is willing to bind him up on a mountain and kill him for the Lord, right? You know what I mean? Like
sure.
We're not Abraham, and that is the point of this whole story. And I'm so glad Rusty mentioned that because, man, there's so many messages that I hear online, and that frustrates me so bad because it makes the Bible characters us. And that's not why God used them. Like, that's not why they're characters in the story.
Right.
That's not why they're in Scripture. Almost every Bible character that you can read about in Scripture is a miserable failure of a sinner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But we hold them as such high regard, and then we try to replicate their lives. That's not the point of it.
Right.
The point of all of these the point of all of these failed tests, the point of all of these on the other side, all of this obedience is to point to the one who is in control, right? And that's kind of what Rusty said, is the point of the story is the God who provided for all of Abraham's needs. Yeah. It's not about Abraham, and it's not even really about Isaac either. You know, Isaac's the one who allowed himself to be bound up, you know, and so that's a crazy thing.
Didn't even realize
that.
that.
Isn't that interesting? I think a lot of our people yesterday, that was maybe the first time that they thought about it. It was
the first time I thought about it.
Because you only ever hear about Abraham, right?
Well, I mean, I grew up seeing literal cartoons, you know.
Yeah, of baby Isaac.
Yeah, and it's like.
Yeah, he wasn't a baby. Grown man allowing himself to be bound up. But anyways, like you see, you know, you see Isaac in that, you see Abraham, and you want to try to replicate that, and none of that is about them. Yeah. It's solely about the God who provided for Abraham over and over. Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that, though, the idea of God doesn't, like, in his provision, he doesn't just give up on everybody. Yeah. Like, I think that's really good, because that's so true. If anybody should have been gave up on, it probably was Abraham at the beginning. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, you know, that's a big, crazy, sinful decision that he made, and yet God still used him through that.
Yes.
I mean, you look at David. I mean, continue the Davidic line through a guy who continued to fall in sexual immorality, you know, and adultery and lust, and continues to use so many people, you know, after that. And the hope is I get to wake up tomorrow and he continues to use me, even though I'm probably going to do something stupid today after this podcast, you know. But again, God always provides, and trusting in his provision leads to that radical obedience. And man, I was
just going to say, I mean, Rusty then kind of went to give us like encouragement for when it's hard to trust in God's provision. Yeah. Right? Yeah. First one he talked about was God providing in his time.
Yeah, for sure. Before that, before we get to that, I wanted to talk about a little bit of this idea of kind of this radical obedience idea that Rusty mentioned, that I personally have not really thought of in this story, which I think is really good. And it's probably what I thought of more than anything yesterday, was the idea that the radical obedience was passed down from Abraham to Isaac. Yeah. I thought that was so good.
Absolutely.
That Isaac saw the radical obedience that Abraham had in his lifetime, that when that decision time came and that moment came of, is my dad taking me up on this mountain to kill me? You know, like, grown man clearly knew what was happening. Mm-hmm. Like, Isaac's not a stupid guy, right? And the fact that he was still willing to get up on the altar. Abraham was way over 100 years old. Isaac could have killed him to stop this. Yeah. Like, very easily. Probably. And Isaac was willing to go, and really the only logical reason that Isaac would be willing to go up on that altar was because he saw the radical obedience that Abraham had. Yeah. And he wanted to replicate that. Absolutely. And so in that, he was willing to go. You know, if my dad loves the Lord this much and is willing to do this, I'm gonna do the same thing, you know? Yeah. And Rusty kind of mentioned more in the first service, this idea that, man, that's true for us. Yeah. Like, if you don't think your children are influenced by your obedience to the Lord, you are completely wrong. And I think it's because, just in my life, like, there's lots of great Christian men that I know who have rebellious kids. Yeah. And that's true. But I think we tend to think of that more than the other side. Because I also know a lot of really faithful men who have faithful children to the Lord. Yeah. You know, but we tend to again, I tend to look at the negative of it, you know, and think, why is this happening? But man, it is such an influence that we have. Absolutely. And to your own children, I mean, that's the biggest influence. That's the biggest, you know, you talk about radical obedience, that's where it's passed down. Yeah. You know,
our kids are watching, they're watching how we respond to God. They're watching how we respond to people around us, and they're learning. They're learning. They want to be like us.
100%. Yeah.
And so they're seeing mom or dad talk bad to their neighbor. They're seeing that. Like, that's how you talk to a neighbor. You know what I mean? They're seeing mom or dad spend time with the Lord or not spend time with the Lord.
Yeah. Or how they talk to each other. And
or they're seeing their family. We'll just skip a Sunday. It's going to be okay. We'll go next week. We're tired. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're seeing that, and they're seeing, okay, well, that, I can kind of take that, that's how church is.
Yeah. So, when I have a family, it's not really going to be radical obedience. It's just going to be kind of whenever we want to be obedient, and it's...
But they're watching, they're picking up on those things, and it is our responsibility to have radical obedience to the Lord, to radically trust in his provision.
Isn't it weird how it legitimately changes our like instincts in life of what we did and saw growing up without consciously thinking about it. With the reactions we have and the instincts we have is pretty much based on our child, on what we've seen as a child and how we grew up, and you just don't even think about it. You just do it, and so, man, it's a tough road, to try to program your mind out of that, to see it differently. But again, if you think that's a hard task, it is. But the good news is, what we finish off here is God always provides.
Yes.
And I want you to introduce some of the ways he provides.
Yeah, so I think Rusty was just trying to bring us to the realistic side of things. Like, yes, we know God provides. Yep. There's some hard things, though. Yep. Time being one of those, right? We want God to provide when we want him to provide. And it's not always the case. A matter of fact, I think sometimes the Lord wants us to wait and trust. And
almost every time.
Yeah. And so I think that was a good, this is the message to provide, but it's going to be, you're going to have to want it to be God's way. I liked him talking about even the second one in his ways too, right? And how it's like, we kind of want to be on day one of the trip and the Lord provide. Yep. Right. And I think that was kind of like a chuckle moment for everybody because it's like so true.
Yeah. Yeah. There was probably people, in our sanctuary yesterday that were hearing this message, and the whole time up until this point, we're feeling very encouraged that when they left, God was going to provide the thing that they were needing. That's a hard thing to think about.
Well, and I appreciate Rusty because if you do just preach that first half, it is almost like a prosperity thing.
It's a 100% prosperity thing. Yeah, God provided a way out for Abraham. He provided the ram in the thicket. And Rusty jokes like he and I thought that was funny of like if he was on his way up to the mountain, it probably would have been nice just to see the ram in the thicket before you get up there. Yeah, and that's our mindset. But yeah, that's good. That is. I mean, this is as much of a prosperity gospel thing that you can hear, until you get to the point of, man, like it pumps you up. Like, I don't know if that felt for you, but like for me, it's like, man, there's some things I really need God to provide in this season. And like, God, I know you're going to provide. Like, thank you for the reminder. Yes, let's go, Lord. Yeah. And then it's like, but he's going to do it in his ways, in his timing, and only provide so that you can look more to Jesus. Yeah. And it's like, wait a second, that's not what I want.
Well, and the faith that we believe will get us what we want through God is so small.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, okay, I was obedient to just take off on the journey. That's all, that was so much faith that was so much effort I put forward,
There's so much more to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And it's like subconsciously, we know we're not really trusting in the Lord.
That's a really good good point. Yeah, it's like if you're trying to run like a race, like a marathon, and you start off and you just walk over to the table with like the water and gummies, and you have the number on, you got all the gear on, and you walk over and you drink a cup of water and eat some gummies, and you're like, man, that race was awesome, wasn't it? Yeah. And it's like, dude, you didn't do anything. You prepared for it and you took off, but you didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
I was thinking about climbing up the mountain. Like, in general, climbing a mountain is not an easy thing to do, too.
No.
Like, I've only climbed a small mountain in my life, and I was exhausted at the end of it. I thought that I had done the craziest thing in life, you know, and this is just hiking up a mountain, and we don't even know how big this mountain. Do we know at all how big this mountain was that they were climbing?
What are you talking about?
To get to the top for the sacrifice.
Oh no! Oh, not the one you climbed.
No, no. Like we don't know how big this one was.
I mean, pretty big. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like that journey had to have been.
Yeah.
Gosh, you know.
Oh yeah.
Exhausting.
Going up. Yeah. Just even the walk up there. Yeah.
Of course, there's probably something to be said about they probably had stronger legs.
Yeah, but again, your boy Abraham's 100 and something years old. So I mean, to be that's very true.
But I mean, anything that's exerting too in life, like we get to them, like okay, I've pushed it to the limit. You know what I mean?
No, I like the point you're making of like there's a lot of things that at the end of it, God's just waiting for us to get there to provide.
Yeah.
But we see this thing that's in the way of it, and in our mind, it's like, that's way too daunting. I'm not even going to start that.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to start that and not really going to go through with it. Yeah. And the Lord just wants us to go through it. Yeah. Like he knows what's at the end. He knows what he has for us on the journey there. Like he knows all those things, and he just wants us to be obedient and say, yes, let's go, Lord. Whatever happens, happens, you know? Yeah. And I love how Rusty kind of ended the message with how God's provision leads to atonement and worship, right? And just the idea of we cannot save ourselves. You know, we cannot, doesn't matter how high of the mountain we climb, doesn't matter how much we think we can provide for ourselves, doesn't matter how much strength we have, doesn't matter how much money we have, doesn't matter how much is in our savings account, we cannot save ourselves.
Yeah.
From the things of life, we have no control. We don't. You know, and that's such a crazy idea because we think we have so much control, but we don't. We don't have any control.
Yeah,
man, just the thought of like we do not have the control to wake up or not wake up tomorrow.
Yeah,
that's insane to think about. Like tomorrow, we can't. There's nothing that we can do to stop something from happening.
Yeah.
Of waking up tomorrow or not waking up tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's all in the Lord's timing. Mm-hmm. It's all in his ways. It's all in his provision. So why would we continue to try to go down this path of, no, we can do it. We got this. I can build it. I can fix it. I can save it. We can't. We cannot save ourselves. If anybody could, it would have been, it would have been Abraham.
Yeah.
And instead of Abraham doing what all of us would have done of, okay, God, there's got to be another way. Like, you want me to build you something? Like, maybe can I take one of my servants to kill? Like, I'm still killing. You know what I mean? Like, no. God chose his son that he waited for years and years and years to have, that he loved so much, that he was a good father to, and he chose him to be the sacrifice. Yeah. And Abraham was like, yep, I'll do it, Lord. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care what it looks like.
I think on that point, this story connects to the overarching story of the Bible.
Right? Well, yeah, no,
that's what it is, right? Like that God will provide for his people, and he has provided us with Jesus.
Yeah, the Lamb. Yep.
Yeah, and that is where Rusty ended.
Yep.
Right, God provides the Lamb.
Yep.
But no, it is really cool to see it connect.
Yeah. I mean, we have right now the ability. You watching this right now have the ability, if you have never accepted Christ as your Lord and Savior, you have the ability right now, without doing anything else, of accepting that the Lamb has already been killed for you. The sacrifice has already been made.
Yeah.
The victory has already been won. Death has already been defeated. The blood has already been shed. And the resurrection has already happened. And we get to trust in that. And we are all not walking around waiting for the ram to appear in the thicket, Like, that's the idea of people in this world are trying to find something to save them, and they're just wandering around the mountainside looking for something in the thicket. We have it. It's already been sacrificed. Yeah. And now it's just freely given to us that we can grab hold of and obtain it for ourselves, because God provides so much and he loves us so much. I kind of want to end with this, of the idea that this is kind of just a reoccurring thing that has been pretty much every message that I've had in the past year, which is just I guess this idea that God has just been continuing to provide for me, is the idea of I cannot be the provider for most things in my life.
Yeah.
You know, I cannot provide for my wife the way that I truly want to. I can't provide for my youth students the way that I truly want to. I can't provide for our church family the way that I truly want to, solely based on my ability and solely based on my leadership or my gifting or anything else. I cannot provide for any of the things that need me to provide for solely based on me, you know? And God's just kind of just been reminding me of, I am not the lamb. I am not the one, you know, that God needs to do anything that he wants to do.
Yeah.
Like, God does not need me to speak to these Central students in a few days on Wednesday. He doesn't need me to. God does not need Rusty to talk to his people this Sunday. He doesn't need you to lead them in worship this Sunday or Wednesday. He doesn't need any of us to do anything. He can do whatever he wants to do. He could use an animal to talk through. You know what I mean? Like, he could use whatever he wants to, yet he has put us in all of these positions and places because he desires to use us. Doesn't need us. He doesn't need any of us for any of our abilities. We're worthless.
Yeah.
Yet he decides and chooses to continue to use us as his hands and his feet and his tools.
Yeah.
You know, he did not need Abraham, but he used Abraham.
Absolutely.
He used Abraham, then he used Isaac, and then he continued to use the line all the way until that spotless lamb was killed in his son Jesus. He doesn't need any of us to do any works that he wants to do, yet he chooses to use his children that he loves. That is such a blessing, dude.
Absolutely.
Like, you were talking about providing,
yeah,
doing something that you don't need to do, but you're going out of your way to do it. That's providing. You know, like, you want to talk about this word of provision. That's it, man. So if you're watching this, man, and you just needed some encouragement today, don't be encouraged that God's going to give you whatever you want whenever you want, because that's not true. I hope that's not what you hear through these messages.
Yeah.
But God's provision is there, but it's in his time and it's his ways, and he wants to use you for his purpose. That is not trying to boost your ego. That's trying to shatter your ego.
Yeah.
That you're nothing without him. So
Yeah.
let him use you in whatever he wants you to do.
Yeah.
So
Trust in him. Let him provide the lamb.
let him provide, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
We got to quit trying to be the providers for everything, man. But we can't do any of this without him. So that's good, man. Well, I appreciate you, dude.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys.
Hope you guys enjoyed, and
Absolutely.
we'll see you next week. And might be a special guest. I don't know. I don't know who's going to be here, but you never know. Might be none of us. You know, I'm just playing. But see you guys later. Peace.
Bye-bye.